Good morrow, everybody. TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. Thank God it's Frank. I am going to make this relatively brief, not by normal people's standards, but by Frank standards, because I have to jump on a call at 9:15, and I have a full day of serving the people of New York City. So I'm not going to be excessively long-winded, although for me, not excessively long-winded is only 15 minutes. Now, a couple things. I am really disappointed. I guess that's the best way to put it. This is a pager that I used to use up until a few years ago. And this was a fully functioning pager. It worked. And it cost me about $100 for the year to get service for this pager. And I let it lapse maybe about 2 years ago. And I called the person that I bought this pager from and asked, "Can I reactivate it?" And he said, "All right, let me see if we can get you set up again," or something along those lines. And he calls the company that provides the service, and basically the answer was no, that they're not able to reactivate this pager. So this particular company. So then I look online for another pager company that says they can reconnect old pagers. So then I will see if I can reconnect it. Simple as that. Ultimately, they try to send me a test page. It doesn't work. So here I am with a fully functioning pager that I'm not able to get service to. If anyone watching this knows how I can get service restored to this pager, please reach out to me. You can comment here. You can share this with anybody you know. You can email me, frank@moranoforcouncil.com. That's frank@moranoforcouncil.com. Or you text me 816-8-Morano, whatever. If you know how I can get service restored for this pager, please reach out to me at a reasonable price, like $9-10 a month. That's around what I'm looking for. So that was disappointing. I thought I was close when I found this other company, and sure enough, I was not. Hey, I want to thank the people of the South Shore of Staten Island for electing me or nominating me to be the nominee of the Republican Party in a three-way race. I was very, very proud that we got over 80% of the vote. Very exciting. By the way, those of you that are watching, the two of you that are good enough to watch this on Facebook, and the one of you, it's a great Noel Ashman, that's good enough to watch this on Instagram, please be so good as to like, comment, and share so that more people discover this video. And thank you to everybody that supported our candidacy, that donated, that volunteered, that voted, that put in a good word, that told friends, anything. So thank you to everybody that helped us get to that victory of over 80% in a three-way race. So that leaves us to today. Today is the deadline for anyone that has a third-party line to drop out of the race, out of any race in New York. So that applies to Andrew Cuomo in the race for mayor because he's got a third-party line and he lost a primary. It applies to John Buthorn in my race, and it applies to a variety of other races around the city. So today's the deadline. So we'll see after today if I have two opponents or one opponent for the general election. Either way, I'm happy for the challenge no matter what. And again, anybody that's watching, please be so good as to like, comment, and share. So I appreciate Mr. Buthorn running a very classy campaign during the primary, and I would have no issue running against both he and Cliff Hagan in the general election in November. Now, that leads us to the mayor's race. Now, I have a lot to say on the mayor's race, and I think more than time allows in the time here. Obviously, I'm strongly behind Curtis Sliwa, strongly supporting Curtis Sliwa. I think the nomination of Zohran Mamdani particularly with Mayor Adams and potentially Governor Cuomo staying in the race, gives Curtis his best chance to win the mayor's race ever. And I'm talking about in years. So I am hopeful, obviously, that Curtis will win. But I want to dispel a couple of notions that just take root. And I don't even know how these notions take root because they're clearly not based in fact or anything along those lines. A bunch of people have reached, oh, Billy D, congratulations. Congrats, big guy. Well, Billy D is even shorter than I am. So to him, everyone is a big guy. In any event, what was I going to say? Oh, a whole bunch of people in the last few days have said, you see what you were doing with this ranked choice voting. That means that you gave us Zohran Mamdani. Okay. Well, no, we didn't, because Zohran Mamdani got the most votes. If we had a conventional first past the post system where you only have to win with a plurality, like they have for mayor of, I don't know, Trenton or most of Newark or whatever, Mamdani just would have won. He got the most votes. It has nothing to do with ranked choice voting. Additionally, if we had the old system that we used to have in New York City prior to 2021, where the first two candidates, if no one gets 40% of the vote, goes into a runoff, Mamdani would have won without a runoff because he got more than 40% of the vote. So anybody that tells you that that Mamdani won because of ranked choice voting, they just have no idea what they're talking about. Their ranked choice voting has absolutely nothing to do with Zohran Mamdani winning. Nothing. Not a little bit, not something, nothing. Absolutely nothing. So anybody that tells you that, they're misinformed. They don't know what they're talking about. You could probably just stop listening there. So I hope people understand that. I hope that's clear. I also want to congratulate the new, was there a comment here? Leanne Colacurdo checking in. I was very sorry to see that Leanne lost her mom. And you know what it is? Everyone assumes, I'm like the pretty girl at the prom that no one asks out because everyone figures that she's already got a date. People are so used to me being well informed that nobody tells me anything. So, Leanne is a close friend. Her son, Bobby, is a very close friend for a long time. Leanne has been one of my greatest volunteers and supporters. And her mom passed away. And I would have absolutely have been there for services. And nobody told me. Nobody told me because some people say, oh, I thought you knew. And other people said, I thought you were too busy. It reminded me of the episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm when no one tells Larry that his mother passed away. So, Leanne, I am sorry about that. I imagine this has been a tough time for you and your family. And the fact that you've been so diligent in promoting me and my candidacy and saying nice things about me, I think it just says everything about the kind of person that you are. And I'm sorry again about your mom. Well, you're certainly lucky to have had her as long as you did. It's never an easy thing to lose a close family member, but especially a parent. So I'm sorry, and I hope you and the whole family's doing okay. Pat says, assuming of Zohran Mamdani, he has got to go. Well, look, very high stakes in this election, and I hope that people see this mayor's race for what it is. It's a clear choice between three choices. You have law and order, you have the status quo, which is not working for New York, and you have anarchy. Oh, I can't believe, tough choice. I don't know which one I'm picking. Anarchy, status quo, or law and order. I'm stumped. Absolutely stumped. Speaking of good things, I want to congratulate Diane Perugia, on being elected as the chairperson of Community Board 3 on Tuesday. The Community Board 3 is a community board that I was on for many years on the South Shore of Staten Island. Diane is a great person and who's dedicated her life to service. One of the founders of the Greats Foundation. She's been active in the Conservative Party. She's been active in the Staten Island Disabilities Council. She was an appointee to the Panel for Education Policy. She's just really an incredible human being, a wife of a NYPD sergeant for over 4 decades, who was in the department for over 4 decades. She's really just someone with an incredible amount of energy and someone I really admire. And she's the new chairperson of Community Board 3. I was sorry to see a guy that was tailor-made, really born for this position, Tommy Barlotta, ousted from this position suddenly on Monday. And he should not have been, in my opinion, but that's the borough president's prerogative. But of everybody that's on the board, I think Diane is certainly the best choice from what I can tell. Weezills says, hi, Frank. Hi, Frank. All right. Yeah, another picture of Diane and me with Celia Ayervasi. Celia, who unfortunately was also ousted from the board last week, and another dedicated volunteer who's just done so much. And it's just such a shame to see what's going on. But I'm hoping, I don't want to bore you by getting into the weeds on this stuff, but I'm hoping the Charter Revision Commission will put my proposal on the ballot for having council members like me make binding community board appointments, and then just let the people vote as to whether they want that or not, or they want the borough president to continue to make all the picks. John Carini, congratulations on your victory. Let me know when you want to finally lose at pickleball. Oh, maybe next week, John, maybe next week. Liz Farrar, congratulations. William Petraglia, the brother of the lovely and gracious Christine Petraglia. Congratulations, Frank. If Curtis doesn't get in, been saying this for years, secession is the only way to save Staten Island from the cancer that's quickly spread throughout New York City. I don't see that happening. I don't see secession as being likely or realistic or pragmatic at this point. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll see where things go. Hopefully it doesn't come to that, because Staten Island has saved this city twice before, once with Rudy Giuliani, once with Mike Bloomberg. Would be nice if they could do it a third time by delivering overwhelming numbers for Curtis. See, we know Curtis is going to win Staten Island, but the question is, does he win Staten Island with 60% of the vote, which is not enough to get him over the finish line, or does he win Staten Island with 80% of the vote? Do we see 75,000 to 90,000 people voting in Staten Island, or do we see 120,000 people voting on Staten Island? If it's the latter of those scenarios, then Curtis could really be, Staten Island could be the straw that stirs the drink, as it is. Angela Olsen says of Diane Perugia, she's an amazing lady. She certainly is. She certainly is. William Petraglia, the people of Staten Island will vote for it, but yes, Albany's probably. Yeah, so I don't want to get into a whole secession discussion, but see, the problem is, we have a lot of police precincts on Staten Island. We have a lot of schools that are on Staten Island. We have a lot of fire companies that are on Staten Island. Those are all owned by the city of New York. So they own 80% of those. So we would have to buy back all that property. And so we don't have the tax base to support that at this point. Now, I'm all for talking about secession if it gets New York to pay, City Hall and Albany to pay more attention to us. But isn't the saner course of action, the easier course of action, just to get Curtis elected? I think it is. Nevin Cummings, congratulations, Frank. I also play pickleball and love to play you game when I'm in town. Staten Island Comedy Show, Les Frank Martin. Yeah, Nevin, let me know when you're in town, and I would love to play with you. Maybe we'll see if John Carini can play as well. So that's that. Don't believe what these folks are saying on ranked choice voting. I'm really bummed that the Red Apple took down all of my podcasts, because I can't point to any of the things that I said previously as being prophetic. But I said repeatedly when this mayor's race started, when Andrew Cuomo was rumored to jump in, when he jumped in, and when he was leading in the polls by 30, 40 points. And I think I also said it on Sid Rosenberg's show and on Arthur Idala's show. I said that my tongue is crooked there. Sorry. I said the front runner never wins. Never. If you look throughout history, in 2021, who was the front runner? Andrew Yang didn't win. 2013, who was the front runner? Christine Quinn didn't win. In 2000, last open seat, 2001, who was the front runner? Mark Green didn't win. 1993, who was the front runner? David Dinkins didn't win. 1989, who was the front runner? Ed Koch didn't win. The front runner never wins. It's just the nature of New York City. It's the nature of these races. And I said this repeatedly, and Sid would, and I'm going to, if he invites me on the show, I'm going to remind him of this. He was saying, come on. When's the last time somebody was up by 35 points this late in the race and lost? Well, the front runner never wins in the mayor's race. Period. So, we'll see what happens on that front. But I don't have those podcasts up. I got a lot of other stuff that I want to go over, but time is our enemy. I do have to go. Anybody else have a final question? Because I have to jump on a call in 2 minutes. Final questions, final comments. Please like, comment, and share. If you want to, what are we doing today? We're going to, I don't know if I could talk about that. I got some big things coming up, which we will be telling you about in the coming days. One thing I will mention is that, okay, I got an extra 15 minutes, but the person I'm on the call now says they need another 15 minutes. Lastly, on the political front, and then we can talk about more fun things. Right now, the New York City Charter Revision Commission is apparently considering a proposal to totally change the way elections are done in New York City. What does that mean? What would they do? Now, by the way, I'm a fan of changing the way elections are done in New York City. I think all elections should be done the way my first special election was. Nonpartisan, everybody can run, period. Ranked choice voting, make all elections special. What they're unfortunately considering would be a disaster. What they're considering is having all of the candidates, regardless of party, run in one election for every office, mayor, public advocate, controller, borough president, city council. They run in one election, everybody gets to vote, and then the top two candidates advance to the final round in the general election. Now, this is a disaster 6 ways from Sunday. For starters, the only place that has tried this, as New York would be doing it, is California. It's been a disaster in California. It's been disastrous for turnout because think about it. If there's 2 Democrats in the final round, Republicans don't turn out. If there's 2 Republicans in the final round, Democrats don't turn out. And independents have no reason to turn out, or third-party people have no reason to turn out, period. Then you also have these quirky situations where there's been about 5 situations where, because of what they call top 2, the 2 candidates in the final round are 2 Republicans who would be fighting to represent a Democratic district, or 2 Democrats who would be fighting to represent a Republican district. If, say, you have a scenario where there's 6 Democrats running and only 2 Republicans, they could divide the Democratic vote, and you have 2 Republicans fighting to represent a Democratic district, and the Democrats have no one to vote for. Now, extrapolated to New York, what this means is, like, imagine if we had it this cycle. What this almost certainly means is that you would never have a Republican make the general election ballot for mayor. It means that if we had this system now, almost certainly you would see Zohran Mamdani and Andrew Cuomo in the general election for mayor of New York City, and no Curtis Lewa. Now, I mean, Zohran Mamdani and Andrew Cuomo, it's like Alien versus Predator. No matter who wins, you lose. But what that would do to other Republicans running around the rest of the city, people like Christy Marmorato in the Bronx, people like a Republican that may run for the seat that's currently occupied by Justin Brannan, a Republican that might run for Bob Holden's seat. It's disastrous because it would so suppress turnout among right-leaning voters and Republicans that it basically guarantees that no Republican would ever win there. Now, in my district's a Republican district, just the opposite would happen. It would probably be, not for sure, but probably be 2 Republicans in the final round. So the 20% or so of my district that votes Democrat, they'd have no one to vote for in the general election. I mean, I don't know how they think this is a good idea. I'm hearing there's a lot of big money behind it. I am hoping there's one last hearing on this on July 7th. And I am hoping that people will turn out in droves, either in person or via Zoom, and speak out against this, because this has the potential to, if it's possible, ruin New York City elections and government even more. So I'm going to share the link in the comments. And if you want to sign up to testify, either in person or via Zoom, you could certainly do so at the link that I just shared. New York Mets fan on Instagram says, Frank, miss you on the overnights, not disparaging anyone else, but you are sorely missed. I hope you can make it back on soon. Thank you. I appreciate that. You know, I mentioned this when I was on the SID on election day. You know, I worked at WABC for 5 years, and I'm hoping to come back in some capacity, maybe a weekly show, maybe an hour a day. And these are folks there that, I was pretty good friends with. We'd share coffee and laughs and stories and complaints about management. And on WABC, Sid is the only show that has invited me back since I left, to run for city council. The only show. I mean, it's a little disappointing. I really think it, and it also speaks well of Sid's character that he's willing to have me back. And 970, which was a show that, which was a station that I worked at for 10 years. There have been 2 shows that have had me back. Well, one show has had me on frequently. That's Arthur Idala. Mike Gallagher, who's on 970, also had me on his nationally syndicated show. And I think Joe Piscopo had me on once on April 29th. As he might say as Danny Verman and Johnny Dangerously, I did the Joe Piscopo show once. So I don't know why. And by the way, I bought advertising, thousands of dollars worth of advertising on both stations. I don't know why the other shows, especially with what's going on in New York City, and if you look at all the things that are happening that I have a fair amount of experience and expertise in, you'd think they'd want me on all the time. And yet, that's it. Idala on 970 and Rosenberg on WABC. They invite me on frequently. Nobody else seems to. Can't understand it. WOND in Atlantic City invites me on. So we'll see. I'm going to work on that maybe over the weekend or Monday, working on a solution to come back to radio in some form. Or if I can't do it, either because of restrictions of some sort or bandwidth, then I'll do a podcast of some sort. So that's the plan. All right. Congratulations as well to my colleague Ina Vernikov on her big win in her city council primary in Brooklyn. She crushed the competition, and deservedly so, because she's a terrific council member, great person, and someone that was a big help to me when I ran, even though I really didn't know her that well. And she still came out and campaigned for me, and she was great. So my thanks to her for her help to me, and I only wish I could have been more available to her in her race. But clearly she didn't need it. She won big time. Then, if you look at the New York City Young Republican Club, the NYYRC, whatever, New York Young Republican, NYYRC. This was the group that was led by Gavin Wax. Their president is now Stefano Forte. They really are the engine that is driving right-leaning New York. I mean, in a lot of ways, they're the right-of-center alternative to the DSA. Candidate after candidate that they've backed has won in recent elections. They backed me. I won handily. They backed Ina Vernikov. She won handily. And it was a squeaker, but the candidate that they backed for city council for the Justin Brannan seat, George Sarantopoulos, he won. It was a squeaker, but he won. So if you want to run for office in New York City, the first people I would reach out to are the New York Young Republican Club. I even tell friends of mine that are looking to get involved that if you want to turn to if you want to turn to a group that knows what they're doing, turn to those guys. Oh, Pastor Dave Watson, I have a daily show on 570 a.m. I'll have you sometime soon. Thank you, Pastor Watson. I would love to. Come on with you anytime. I'll just tell this person that I can do 15 minutes. Okay. All right. What else did I want to bring up? Any other questions? You know what's so funny? I spent a lot of time when I was on the radio talking about this, the idea of synchronicity, where you think of something, you talk about something, you dream of something, and then you encounter that thing later in the day or later in the week, whatever. So this happens to me all the time. And do you know how many times I've thought about Bobby Sherman in the last 15 or 20 years? I will say it's pretty close to zero. Pretty close to zero. Then a lot of you saw, I mean, nothing against Bobby Sherman. It's just, he never really resonated with me. I wasn't really a fan of his work. I don't know that I was his target demo. My wife and I are watching Frasier the other night. I think it was Wednesday night. And Bobby Sherman, who had just died on Monday or Tuesday, this is an episode of Frasier from 1995. He's featured prominently in the episode. They're mentioning him like crazy in the episode, and he actually has a cameo in the episode. Now, sometimes people say stuff like that happens because you're just more aware of it. Stuff like that happens all the time, and then you encounter, you recognize it when it's before you just would have ignored it. Maybe. I don't think so. I think there's something going on that leads to something like this happening. But what are the chances of that? Of all people to be featured prominently in that episode of Frasier, Bobby Sherman? I don't know. All right, I'm going to get going. Any final questions, any final thoughts, any final comments? Now's the time. Those of you that joined late, if you know of anyone that has the ability to restore service to this pager, please email me, frank@moranoforcouncil.com, frank@moranoforcouncil.com. We do have a general election to win. It's not, I think we're in a pretty good position, quite frankly. You don't want to take anything for granted. But if you want to help us out with a contribution, it is matchable 8-1. You can go to moranoforcouncil.com. That's MORANO for council.com. Some of you, maybe I'll see at the opening of the new Huguenot Library later. Some of you, maybe I'll see at the SBA picnic later. My condolences to my colleague, Camilla Hanks, who just lost her mother recently and is laying her to rest this weekend. So sorry about that. And hopefully she's at peace and the family's dealing with this okay. All right. Let's see. Christina, Frank, you should run for mayor of New York City. No, thank you. I'm 100% on board Team Curtis. He knows the city better than anybody alive and would do a great job. All right. Thank you, everybody. I'll see you when I see you.